talked about her. I saved her on the 15th. Her dad brought her down to my house, and apparently my mother gave him permission.
I came over here because she said that if it seemed like somebody was trying to break into the house, so I sat for an hour. Me and my cousin, we sat over here.
They weigh on you. I'm a parent myself, and I tried my best to make sure that she was removed from that environment.
I've went through this twice because the school system had contacted CSB on her behalf when she went to Bennett Academy. And they came in, they did a case study, and closed it.
Here, man. What you trying to kill me? Dude, show me your fucking hands right now. Pull your fucking hand out. I swear.
Well, hey there, and welcome back. Tonight, I've got a case for you that's not only tragic, it's haunting. One of those stories that sticks with you long after it's over. This is the case of Keimani Latigue, a young girl from Toledo, Ohio, who vanished, only to be found days later under circumstances too horrifying for words. And the part that really hits you? The person responsible? It wasn't some stranger lurking in the shadows. No, it was someone far closer than anyone could have imagined. So go ahead, settle in, turn the lights down, because this one's gonna stay with you. So, who was Keimani Latigue? Well, Keimani was the kind of kid people don't forget. Bright-eyed, always smiling. The kind of light you don't just see, you feel it. You hear about kids like that sometimes, the ones who seem to carry a little extra goodness inside them. That was Keimani. She was the oldest of 4 siblings, growing up in Toledo, Ohio. But unlike most kids her age, life had already handed her more than her fair share of challenges. She lived with her grandmother, Dorothy, a woman who, by all accounts, loved that girl more than anything in the world. This wasn't just weekend sleepovers with cookies and cartoons. Keimani had been living with Dorothy full-time for about 5 years, and roughly a year before everything happened, Dorothy was granted full legal custody. Now her parents? They were around sometimes, but not really there, you know? In and out, inconsistent, present just enough to leave a shadow, but not enough to build stability. Still, Keimani didn't seem bitter about it. Not angry, not withdrawn. She was just kind. Even at school, the teachers noticed it. She was the type of student who'd offer to help clean up after class or sit with someone who didn't have any friends. She just got it. Compassion, empathy. The things most adults still struggle with. And get this, Keimani was set to receive a kindness award at Spring Elementary. Not for grades, not for sports, but for simply being a good person. A thoughtful, caring kid who made the world around her a little softer. That's who she was. That's who the world lost. And just to make this all even harder to swallow, Keimani had a birthday coming up. She was excited, really excited. She'd been planning a basketball-themed party because that was her thing. Basketball wasn't just a hobby for her, it was her favorite sport. She talked about it all the time, dreamed of playing, maybe even going pro someday. You know how kids dream big, and for Keimani, it felt like the possibilities were endless. Things should have been looking up, a birthday around the corner, recognition at school, a safe home, a future. But as you've probably started to piece together, that future was never going to come, because what happened next was something no one could have prepared for. Let's jump to March 18th, 2025. That morning, local police were dispatched to a residence on the 2900 block of Elm Street. It was a quiet area, just another house on just another street. But inside that house, something was very, very wrong. It was Keimani's home, the one she shared with her grandmother, Dorothy. And it was Dorothy who answered the door, face pale, her expression tight with worry. You could tell right away. Something had shaken her, and as officers stepped inside, they were about to learn just how dark things had gotten. Dorothy didn't waste any time when something felt off. She told officers that Keimani hadn't shown up for school that day. No call from the office, no message, just silence. So naturally, Dorothy tried calling her, over and over. But each time, the call went straight to voicemail. Now, if you've ever been in that situation when someone you love isn't picking up and you know something's not right, you understand the kind of dread that sets in, that deep, cold panic in your chest. And for Dorothy, it wasn't just worry, it was instinct, because she knew her granddaughter. This wasn't a rebellious teenager sneaking off to meet friends. This wasn't a misunderstanding, running away. That just wasn't Keimani's style, ever. So when Dorothy told the officers this was out of character, she meant way out of character. She began walking them through everything she could remember. Only 2 people lived in that house, Dorothy and Keimani, and the night before, Dorothy had to work the night shift. So Keimani was home alone. Not unusual, but what was unusual was what Dorothy came home to the next morning. First thing she noticed, the front door was unlocked. Now, depending on where you live, that might not sound too strange, but for Dorothy it was a red flag. Big one. She'd left that door locked. She was sure of it. Still, she stepped inside, calling out for Keimani. Nothing. Then she made her way to the kitchen, and that's when she saw it. The stove was on. Not warm, not recently used. It was on, actively burning. And Keimani, she was nowhere in sight. Now, think about that for a second. A child left home alone overnight, a door left unlocked, a stove left on, and the house, suddenly, way too quiet. Something wasn't just wrong. Something was very wrong. Dorothy didn't waste any time when something felt off. She told officers that Keimani hadn't shown up for school that day. No call from the office, no message, just silence. So naturally, Dorothy tried calling her over and over, but each time, the call went straight to voicemail. Now, if you've ever been in that situation when someone you love isn't picking up and you know something's not right, you understand the kind of dread that sets in, that deep, cold panic in your chest. And for Dorothy, it wasn't just worry, it was instinct, because she knew her granddaughter. This wasn't a rebellious teenager sneaking off to meet friends. This wasn't a misunderstanding. Running away? That just wasn't Keimani's style, ever. So when Dorothy told the officers this was out of character, she meant way out of character. She began walking them through everything she could remember. Only 2 people lived in that house, Dorothy and Keimani. And the night before, Dorothy had to work the night shift, so Keimani was home alone. Not unusual, but what was unusual was what Dorothy came home to the next morning. First thing she noticed, the front door was unlocked. Now, depending on where you live, that might not sound too strange, but for Dorothy, it was a red flag. Big one. She'd left that door locked. She was sure of it. Still, she stepped inside, calling out for Keimani. Nothing. Then she made her way to the kitchen, and that's when she saw it. The stove was on. Not warm, not recently used. It was on, actively burning. And Keimani? She was nowhere in sight. Now, think about that for a second. A child left home alone overnight, a door left unlocked, a stove left on, and the house, suddenly, way too quiet. Something wasn't just wrong. Something was very wrong. Dorothy didn't stop at the kitchen. She started searching the house, room by room, calling out, hoping somehow she'd find Keimani curled up asleep. Maybe with her headphones in, maybe just missed her calls. But that hope faded fast, because in one of the rooms, Dorothy found something that chilled her. Sitting there, right in plain sight, were Keimani's keys and her glasses. Now that might not seem like much to anyone else, but to Dorothy, it was everything. Keimani needed those glasses. She couldn't see properly without them. She never left the house without them, ever, leaving them behind. That wasn't just unusual, it was completely out of character. By this point, Dorothy's fear had turned into full-blown panic. Something was wrong, really wrong. And as the officers continued listening, Dorothy shared something else. Something that, at the time, didn't seem suspicious, but would later become a turning point in the case. She told them that just a few days earlier, on March 15th, and again on the 16th, Keimani's father, Darnell Jones, had come by to pick her up. He was taking her to visit her mother, Tiara Caston. Pretty simple visits, nothing fancy, just a mom and daughter spending time together. Dorothy said they'd usually just hang out, maybe play some video games, and afterward, Darnell would bring Keimani back home. But now, in the middle of all this chaos, that detail suddenly seemed a lot more important. Because if Keimani had been safe with her parents just days before, then the question became, what changed, and where was she now? On the night of March 17th, Darnell Jones, Keimani's father, told police that he'd dropped his daughter off at Dorothy's house around 10 p.m., said everything seemed normal, quiet, routine. But then, there was something else. Darnell claimed that just an hour and a half later, around 11:30 p.m., his phone rang again. It was Keimani, and she sounded terrified. According to him, she said she thought someone might be breaking into the house. She was scared. Her voice was shaky. It was dark, and she was home alone. Now, that kind of call, that would hit any parent like a punch to the gut. Darnell said he got in his car and rushed back to the house. He stayed with her for about an hour, maybe a little more. And before he left, around 12:30 in the morning, he told her everything was fine, that there was nothing to be afraid of. But he couldn't stay. He had a newborn at home, another child who needed him. So he left. And that, according to Darnell, was the last time anyone saw Keimani Latigue alive, just after midnight, on March 18th. That timestamp quickly became the heart of the investigation, the line between safety and something far, far worse. As hours passed with no sign of Keimani, police kicked into high gear, missing posters went up. Officers started reaching out to friends, neighbors, anyone who might have seen her. But there was nothing. No sightings, no leads, just a growing sense of dread. By March 21st, the community had rallied together. Dozens of people, neighbors, classmates, total strangers, formed search parties, combing through the North Toledo area, desperate for any trace of her. Local news stations caught some of it. Raw footage of people bundled against the cold, calling her name through quiet streets and wooded paths. Dorothy gave emotional pleas to the camera. She said Keimani wasn't in trouble, that no one was angry. She just wanted her granddaughter to come home. That's all she wanted. Keimani's mother, Tiara Caston, traveled to Toledo to join the search. She told reporters she hadn't been able to sleep, couldn't eat, couldn't think straight. Her voice cracked under the weight of desperation. You could see it in her face. This wasn't just worry, it was agony, the kind only a mother can know. And standing beside her was Darnell, the man who said he'd been the last to see Keimani alive.
Talked about her. I seen her on the 15th. Her dad brought her down to my house, and apparently my mother gave him permission. And honestly, it was just me loving on my kid. You know, we played video games. We played. We talk mess. You know, that's what we do. We roast each other, all types of stuff. But it's all love.
I came over here because she said that if it seemed like somebody was trying to break into the house, so I sat for an hour. Me and my cousin, we sat over here, and we left around like 12:30ish.
And then came March 23rd, 2025, just 2 days after the community had gathered to search, to hope, to believe that Keimani might still be out there. The case took a dark and unexpected turn. Authorities announced that Keimani's father, Darnell Jones, was being officially charged with her abduction. It was a moment that sent shockwaves through the city, because up until that point, Darnell had been standing side by side with Keimani's mother, helping with the search, talking to police, pleading for answers. He was supposed to be the last person who saw her alive, but now he was the one under suspicion. So, why the sudden shift? Well, as investigators dug deeper into Darnell's version of events, they started to notice something that raised more than a few red flags. His story kept changing. Little things at first, minor details about time, location, but the deeper they pushed, the more the inconsistencies piled up. Where exactly had he gone after leaving Keimani that night? What time had he gotten home? Why didn't he call Dorothy when Keimani said she was scared? And most importantly, what really happened after 12:30 a.m.? Police weren't buying what he was selling anymore. His statements didn't line up, his timeline didn't hold water, and eventually, the picture became clear. Darnell was hiding something. Detectives were convinced he knew more than he was letting on, maybe a lot more. But even with the abduction charge filed, they had one huge problem. Darnell Jones was gone, vanished. No one could find him. And it wasn't long before people started asking the obvious question, had he gone on the run? Authorities didn't waste time. They issued alerts to the public, warning that Darnell might be using an alias, Darnell Jerome Ogletree. They also released something else, something that made the entire situation feel even darker. Darnell had a lengthy criminal record. Suddenly, this wasn't just a missing child case anymore. This was a potential fugitive on the loose, one with a history, one now connected to a little girl who hadn't been seen in days. Toledo residents were urged to stay alert, stay cautious, and above all, stay safe. Because Darnell Jones, now a wanted man, was officially considered dangerous, and the clock was ticking. Then came March 24th. Police received a tip, one that would take the investigation in a direction no one wanted to believe. It led them to a place in East Toledo, an old abandoned house on Miami Street. The building had been damaged in a fire years earlier, charred, hollow, forgotten. The kind of place you pass by without a second glance. Crumbling wood, soot-stained walls, rot creeping in through every crack. Most people wouldn't dare step inside, but investigators did, and what they found inside that ruin was worse than anything they had feared. There, in the darkness of that burned-out structure, they discovered the body of a young girl, and it didn't take long for the devastating truth to set in. It was Keimani. The missing posters, the community searches, the prayers, all of it came crashing down in that moment. What was once a search to bring a child home had just become a murder investigation. That decaying house became a crime scene, and suddenly, everything police had suspected about Darnell Jones wasn't just theory anymore. He wasn't just a person of interest. He wasn't just the last one to see her. He was now the prime suspect in his own daughter's murder. The coroner moved quickly, performing an autopsy, and the results were brutal, unforgiving. Keimani's cause of death was determined to be multiple incision wounds to her neck. Not an accident, not a moment of panic. It was cold, intentional homicide. A little girl, bright, kind, days away from her birthday, was now gone, and the place she was found was a ruin, burned and abandoned, like someone had chosen it to be forgotten. But Keimani won't be forgotten, because now the question wasn't just where she was, it was why, and how someone she trusted, could do something so unspeakable. But the horror didn't end there. At a press conference following the discovery of Keimani's body, Lieutenant Brian Steele stepped up to the mic. You could see it on his face, the way his jaw clenched, how his voice trembled just beneath the surface. This wasn't just a routine update. This was personal. He said he was furious. And once the details of what was done to Keimani were made public, it became heartbreakingly clear why. Keimani hadn't just been murdered. She had been nearly decapitated, her hands severed, and then came the final unbearable detail. She had been essayed. It was violence beyond comprehension, cruelty that defied reason. Keimani Latigue was just a child, a little girl with a big heart, a smile that brightened classrooms, and yet, whoever did this didn't just take her life. They tore it apart. The brutality left an entire community in shock, and with that revelation, the manhunt for Darnell Jones exploded into overdrive. Police were relentless, determined. They weren't just searching anymore, they were hunting. But then, just hours after those devastating autopsy findings were shared with the world, something no one saw coming happened. Dorothy, Keimani's grandmother, was taken from her home in handcuffs. The very woman who had pleaded for her granddaughter's safe return was now at the center of her own investigation. And the community? They didn't know what to think. Was Dorothy involved? Was she hiding something? Or was this some kind of terrible mistake? The arrest sent a ripple of confusion and suspicion through Toledo. But the police weren't giving answers. Not yet. And the manhunt for Darnell was still coming up empty. Then came March 25th. Loved ones gathered for a vigil. Candles flickering in the breeze, flowers laid gently beside balloons and teddy bears. Photos of Keimani, notes scribbled with messages of love, grief, and heartbreak. Students from her school showed up holding hands. Teachers stood together, their eyes red and swollen. The pain was shared, but so was the love. It was a tribute to the kind of child Keimani had been. But even in that moment of reflection, one voice broke through the quiet. Keimani's 6th grade teacher stepped forward, and what she said changed everything. With a trembling voice, she told reporters that all of this, could have been prevented, because they knew. She and other school staff had called protective services repeatedly. They'd seen the signs, the bruises, the fear in Keimani's eyes. They did what they were supposed to do. They reported the abuse, and Keimani, she confided in them, told them about the pain, the fear, the things happening at home. But no help came, no knock on the door, no intervention, no protection. And now, Keimani was gone. Not because no one saw the danger, but because the system meant to save her didn't.
Hard, because especially in a role like education, your day doesn't end at 3:30. You take these things home with you. They weigh on you. I'm a parent myself, and I tried my best to make sure that she was removed from that environment.
Now, after her arrest, Dorothy, Keimani's grandmother, spoke out. She insisted she wasn't abusive, claimed she had nothing to hide. According to her, she had dealt with Child Protective Services on 2 separate occasions, and both times, the case had been closed. No charges, no follow-up, just closed. But for those who knew Keimani, the ones who heard her whisper her fears, the teachers who filed those reports, none of that felt like enough. Because closed cases don't always mean the danger's gone. Sometimes, it just means no one looked deep enough.
I've went through this twice because the school system had contacted CSP or CSB on her behalf when she went to Bennett Academy. And they came in, they did a case study and closed it. They've stated there's a way to chastise children without physically harming them. And you need to whoop them on their behind, nowhere else. So, okay, with that in mind, I knew that.
By now, it was painfully clear. Child Services had failed Keimani. She didn't fall through the cracks. She was pushed through them. And the consequences, unthinkable. The very system meant to protect her had let her down in the worst possible way. And it had cost her everything. While candles burned and tears fell at the vigil behind the scenes, Toledo police were racing against time. Their focus, Darnell Jones. Since the moment he was charged with abduction, authorities had been tracking him, watching, listening, hoping for even the smallest slip that would reveal his location. But time wasn't on their side. Every hour that passed meant one thing. Darnell could be further away, further out of reach. So, they widened the net. They contacted Columbus police, warning them that a dangerous suspect, now believed to be responsible for a child's brutal murder, might be hiding in their city. The lead was shaky, but it was all they had. And then, around 10 a.m., something happened. Columbus SWAT spotted a man matching Darnell's description in the Victorian Village neighborhood. He was just walking. But the second they laid eyes on him, the mood shifted. There was no hesitation. Officers moved in, guns drawn, adrenaline high. This wasn't just an arrest. It was the culmination of fear, rage, and tragedy. And what came next? We'll get into that.
Come here, man.
Don't do it.
What's your name?
Kill me.
Dude, show me your fucking hands right now.
Me, bro.
Pull your fucking hand out of your...
myself.
I swear to God, pull your...
Shots fired. Dennis in a second. Get medic,
Don't fucking move!
Don't move! Alright, suspect down. All you guys are okay.
Yep. Don't move. He's got 33 right there.
33 in his hands!
No, it's a walkie-talkie, but there's 33s right here. Don't you move or you're going to get shot, okay? All right? Got it. Yep.
That's him.
Somebody get
on the main air. Get us a medic. I'm working on it.
All right, on your belly. All right. I got cuffs. There you go. Thank you, brother. We'll get you help, okay?
I just want to die, bro.
No, I know, but we can't allow that.
I can't.
All right.
I don't want to live.
Get us some cruisers. Secure this scene.
Copy, I'm in radio.
All right, who fired? I'm in the car.
He did too.
All right. You did? I did not. Okay. He did. Okay. You good?
All right.
You good? All right.
I know.
All right.
Listen to me.
Listen, I gotta roll you off. I gotta get you up on your side, okay? I gotta get you up on your side. I got you. All right. Where you hit at, bro?
I don't know. All in my leg.
On your leg.
He's all hit right here.
I know. He's hitting his arm once.
Oh my God.
You need a medic here now. Where's the
I know. They're coming. Okay. We got him. He's hit once in the arm. All right. He's hitting the side here. Yep, you're hitting the side. Okay. You're gonna be fine. Hey, look. You know what's good about this? What? Sit up, okay? You're gonna be fine.
I can't move my leg.
I know. Okay. I know.
I think they're broke.
Where do you guys need us?
There you go. How's that?
They broke.
Okay.
I can't get up.
Okay. We're gonna leave you sit here like this. Take a deep breath.
Copy that.
Do me a favor. Take a deep breath for me, okay? Hey, move your car. Block that road. You're on shell cases. Get that road blocked.
We can't lay you down.
Okay, you've got to stay up. I'll hold you up, all right? You just relax. Lean back into me. There you go. You're going to be fine. Listen, hey, nothing's ever that bad, all right?
It is.
Okay, well. Darnell, right? Do you have anything else on you? Do you have any more guns? Yes? Where's the guns at? Where's the other gun at? I don't. Darnell. Hey. Sorry. Darnell. Do you have anything else on you? Yeah, you said you had a gun. I don't. I think he's just fading. I don't know. Nope. Just stay back, okay, please? Stay back. Hey. Okay. Okay. We're making good witnesses. You're fine, ma'am. You're fine. We got to get him searched. The medic's going to take him. I know. Hey. Hey, you guys somebody just go chill. Somewhere else. Hey, have that cruiser start getting scene tape. Let the medic in. Step back. They're fine. It's fine. Yeah, we need a cart. We need a cart. Cart. Oh no, stay with me, bro. Keep talking to me, okay? Dave, 511. If anyone is listening at home, officer support. Sit here, legs, arms. Which way do you want his head? Here. Right there? Okay. Up! You need him out of the cuffs? Yeah, we're gonna need him out. All right. We're gonna have to. Hey, listen. Now we're gonna roll you over one more time, all right? Gotta get those cuffs off you so you can relax. Clean up. There you go. He's hitting the arm, leg, arm, and I believe left chest. Okay. I get a good search on him. I am.
Everything's got to come off.
You taking him down enough in this?
Yeah.
All right, that's fine. Pull this off. All right. Cut the cuff off.
Just cut your gun. You have to help us lift?
Yep.
Grab the one, grab the head. Down. We're down.
Hold on. Just stare at it. I'm good. Hey, don't move your arm. I know it hurts. They're going to help you, okay?
I can't even shoot me in the head.
Well, we're not trying to hurt you. We're not trying to kill you.
I put off my arm.
Isn't it something? Darnell told police he didn't want to die. But when it came to Keimani, he didn't seem to give her life that same consideration. As SWAT officers closed in, Darnell Jones didn't surrender. He fought back, and in the chaos, he was shot. Paramedics rushed him to the hospital in critical condition, fighting to keep him alive. The same man who had shown his own daughter no mercy. He was transported to Ohio State University's Wexner Medical Center, and by Tuesday, reports confirmed he was in stable condition, alive, breathing, conscious. But justice? That's just getting started. Along with the abduction charges filed in Toledo, Darnell is now also facing felonious assault for his actions in Columbus. He's scheduled to appear in court on Wednesday, April 2nd at 9 a.m. his fate slowly moving toward a courtroom reckoning. But even as the legal process crawls forward, the wound left behind by Keimani's death remains wide open, because for now, the questions still outweigh the answers. Why wasn't she protected? Why didn't anyone listen? And how many more children like Keimani are silently crying out for help, only to be ignored? She was only 12 years old. She deserved laughter, love, birthday cake, basketball games. Not this. Never this. If you or someone you know suspects a child is being abused or neglected, don't wait. Don't assume someone else will step in. Speak up. Call Child Protective Services. Call the police. Sometimes your voice can be the one that saves a life. Keimani Latigue's story is a reminder, heartbreaking as it is, that monsters don't always hide in the shadows. Sometimes they're standing right in front of us, smiling. Thank you for listening to this episode of Monsters Among Us. If you found this story difficult, good. It should be. We'll be back next week with another case. Until then, stay safe, stay aware, and remember, sometimes the scariest stories are real.